Peace, light, and love, everyone, and welcome to the weekly inspirational broadcast with iServeRealness. My name is Tarina Butler, and I am a free and empowered and loving spirited individual who basically has been purposed to enhance the lives of people that I come in contact with. And I do this by loving on them in such a way and teaching them how to love themselves enough and in different ways that empower them and implore them to love on other people. And that's one of my divine purposes. But thanks for tuning in. Get your incense, get your sage, get whatever it is that you need to, make you comfortable for our chat. Get you some tea. I'm sipping on a good old mint tea today. I love it. Get whatever it is that you need to make yourself comfortable, and we'll get started. So today's topic of discussion is about self-worth and self-validation. What is self-worth? Self-worth is the values or the belief system you place on you and hold yourself accountable for and accountable to. We often go through life just on cruise control, as I've mentioned in my previous blogs, and we come in contact with people, and we make certain connections with things that we like to do, and we find value in those people. We find value in those things and those hobbies and in that job and that career, and we kind of lose ourselves in it because we gain something from it. We gain a certain likeness from it. We gain a certain love from it. We gain a certain increase in value of it. And we then, without realizing or subconsciously, start to place our own self-worth and our own self-value in that. Which leads me to, where do you get your self-validation from? Where do you get your self-worth from? How important is it? I personally think that self-worth is very important. How you treat yourself and how you govern your own life enables you to show others how to treat you. It's basically goes in hand with the saying, you gotta show people how to treat you. And that all stems from just how you treat yourself. If you constantly degrade yourself, if you look at yourself and say, oh, I'm fat, or oh, I need to lose weight, or oh, I don't make enough money, or oh, I don't have enough this, or oh, my lips are too big, or oh, my hips are too wide, or oh, just constantly degrade yourself, other people will notice that and then do the same to you as well. Now, the catch-22 about when it comes to the importance of self-worth and self-validation is that sometimes we treat ourselves like crap while we treat other people like gold. Meaning that we'll say all of that stuff to us about us, but we'll then look at someone who we find attractive and go, oh my gosh, you're just so beautiful. Oh my gosh, you're so pretty. Oh my gosh, you're so handsome. Ooh, and that's terrible, because in essence, you really don't mean that. And when I say that you don't mean that, I speak in terms of it's impossible to genuinely treat someone or to genuinely love someone or love on someone until you learn how to love on yourself and treat yourself. It's impossible. So, not saying the feeling behind it or the intent of the feeling when you say those things or compliment other people isn't real. No, the authenticity of it is not real, and it's not pure, because you won't know how to fully compliment someone unless you know what it feels like to be fully complimented by yourself. I mean, speaking from personal experience, growing up as a child, I've always been told, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. Oh my gosh, you're so pretty. Oh, look at that pretty little girl. Oh, look how beautiful she is. And from other people, but it didn't faze me in a way like where I liked the attention, because my mom always told me how beautiful I was. My aunts and my uncles always told me how pretty I was. Well, my mom and my grandmother really told me how beautiful I was, and my aunts really taught me that beauty was surface and the compliments that I was getting and obtaining, that I had to be smarter, that I had to have content to match that beauty. And that's what would make me really pretty. And my uncle just taught me, like, you know, good life experiences on being active and things of that nature. But I never really, I mean, it was nice to get the compliments, but I never truly felt or understood how beautiful I was until I myself appreciated my own beauty. Meaning that it was nice to get those compliments from my family members and from other people, but it really didn't mean anything, or it really didn't mean much, or it didn't matter most until I one day looked in the mirror and said, oh my gosh, I think I like the size or the shape of my eyes. I like the shape of my lips. Ooh, you know, and that's because I grew up kind of big boned. I was always a little, not always, but the women in my family are kind of heavy set. And so I naturally was a bit heavy set. And it wasn't until I started dancing and then my mother put me in dance class, and I was going on all these auditions and dancing around. I always loved to dance, and I started to shed some of that baby weight, that I then started to go, oh, maybe I am pretty, or maybe I am beautiful. Because even though I was heavy set, I remember always as a child wanting, number one, to be happy, number two, to lose weight. And when I started dancing, of course, you know, I started shedding the baby weight, but I still didn't feel beautiful. I knew I had the inner beauty that I've always known that I've had. I've always had the inner beauty, but my outside beauty didn't match my mental process. Meaning, even though as a heavyset child, even though throughout my entire life, people, and this is not a cocky or conceited moment. Please do not judge that or take it at that. Take it as I'm being very honest. Throughout my entire life, I've been told, like I said, how gorgeous or how beautiful I am or whatever have you. But even though I started to lose the baby weight, I started to, you know, become more toned and become more active, and I had these things that I was passionate about, I always did not, it never clicked to me on how beautiful they thought I was. I knew I was pretty. I knew that I had a certain attraction. I knew that I had content and character, and I had inner beauty. So I nestled in that. But it was like, I remember saying to myself, I wish I could see what they saw. Because when I looked in the mirror, I felt like there were still little things that I could nitpick about. I felt like, oh, I have a mole. You know, they're calling it a beauty mark, but to me, I just see it as a dark spot on my face. Oh, my stomach is still a little chubby. I don't have a six-pack. I don't have that rock hard. I can't wear, you know, belly tops like my friends do because they have flat stomachs. And, you know, my stomach is okay, but it's not as flat as I want. Like, I always found a reason to nitpick. And then one day, I promise you, it just like happened out of nowhere. I was like, oh my gosh, I love how pretty my skin is. I love how clear my skin is. I love my little hips. I love the fact that I have a little something extra. I love that even though I'm not the toothpick in the group, I can still dance any of them in the group. I can, and I'm not just talking about your basic bumping and grinding or, you know, whining and busting a wine or whatever. I'm talking about I can dance ballet, jazz, modern, tap. These are things that I'm really well at. And so my inner beauty started to overtake and overpower the things that I seen with myself physically. And it turned me into a person who just genuinely loved how she looked, how she acted, how she conducted herself. And then I was then able to, you know, when I called one of my friends pretty, I was like, oh my gosh, like when I would say, oh my gosh, you're like really pretty, it was more genuine. It was more sincere because I found a new appreciation for myself. And I found that, you know, beauty and my self-worth, this is all going to circle back around. My self-worth it started with me. It didn't matter how many people told me X, Y, and Z. It mattered that I, number one, had to believe it for myself, tell it to myself, and foster it within myself in order for me to be a decent and genuine and authentic person towards others. So I say this to say that we have to be careful on how we feed or how we grow our own self-worth. We all have it, but we increase it, we decrease it. We increase it because, you know, we know it's there. And so we walk around and we say, oh, I have self-worth. My self-worth, it won't let me do this, or my self-validation won't allow me to do this, or whatever have you. But we decrease it because we're not standing in the mirror appreciating us for who we are. And I don't mean physically. I mean, if you can write and if you're a poet, nurture that. Continue to write. Compliment yourself. You know, if you can run, or if you're active, if you know you're this and you're that, nurture that. Compliment yourself. You know, if you're very intelligent, or if you know so many things about the world, nurture that. You know, compliment yourself on that. And that's what's most important. You have to nurture your self-worth and your self-validation so that it is strong, so that no one will ever be able to discount you in any way, no matter what they say or no matter what they do. They'll never be able to take that certain je ne sais quoi about yourself, because you have it and it is strong within you. Tea is good. So next, I'd like to talk about where we get our self-worth from and our self-validation from. Is it within our partners? Is it from our children? Is it from our teachers? Is it from our careers? Is it from our hobbies? Is it from, like, where do we get it from? Personally, I can attest to the fact that I have fallen victim to, and it's still a work in progress for me. I have fallen victim into getting my self-validation from my partners, the people that I love, from my career, from my jobs, from things that I love to do. I have found myself and had to check myself on numerous occasions. And like I said, I'm still a work in progress, where I've had to say, no, that is not where you get your self-validation from. It's self-validation. It means it's self-inflicted, which means it has to come from you. It has to come from me. With my career or with the jobs that I've obtained, my self-validation came from, if it doesn't make this amount of money, then no, that's not cool. Oh, I'm not going to take it. Or, you know, maybe I'm not making this amount of money because I'm not fit for it, or because maybe I'm not good enough for it. When you say things like that to yourself, whether you say it or if you think things like that, then that's how you know you're getting your self-validation from something, right? No matter how much a job pays, if it's something that you love to do, if it's something that you're good at and you want it, if it pays a certain amount that you've never made before, don't you dare, you know, dumb yourself down or discount yourself by saying, or discount your self-validation by saying, oh, maybe I'm not good enough for it because it requires, well, because it has this amount, this level, or it pays this amount. I remember even up until recently, I want to say within the last year, I have a vision board, and on my vision board, I have a certain amount of money financially that I want to make from a job that I do. Not a career, but a job. And I have every right to want that, number one, not because it's a career, because I know I have the knowledge, I have the experience, I know that I'm worth it, right? But anyway, I put this certain number on my vision board because for years I've always wanted to make this certain number, but for years I've always said, oh, well, I'm just not good enough for that amount. No one's ever going to pay me for that. I mean, I don't have a degree in this field. Oh, no one's ever going to pay me for that because of my color. Oh, no one's ever going to pay me for this because, you know, I don't know the right people. Or maybe I'm not rubbing the right elbows to get the right connections. For years, I've always thought that I wasn't worth that number. And I remember saying to myself, no mas, no more. No more. You are definitely worth that number. You are worth everything and above that number. Actually, you're worth way more than that number. You don't need a certain degree in a certain field to obtain that number from a job. We're not talking about a career here. We're talking about a job. There is no reason as to why you, with all that you possess and all the knowledge that you have, that you're not worth. How dare you tell yourself that you're not worth that number? Do you know who you are? Do you know what you are? Like, this is the talk that I had with myself in a dream. And so I remember the next day I went online and I went into an office and I printed out that number. And I came home, I cut it up and I put it on my vision board. And I still have that number on my vision board. I'm looking at it right now. I have this number on my vision board. And I changed my belief system. Like, it went from, oh, you're not worth that amount to you're worth more than that. And so I have that number on my vision board, and I will not stop because I know that I can get it that way. I know that I can get it. I know that I will get it. I know that it's coming to me. And so with that being said, I stopped looking at that number for a while, because every day I would look at that number. Every day I would meditate like that number is coming to me, as, you know, that's the kind of money that I'm going to start making. I know that that's what's going to happen. And I stopped looking at it because I found myself basing my self-worth and finding validation in me, that if I'm not worthy or I'm not worth anything, much of anything, until I make that number, which is false, which is incorrect. And I don't know if you can relate, but we get our, that's what I like to call getting your self validation from a gig, from a job, from a career. We live in a society where money, 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 and that's just what we're governed by, right? Well, what some people are governed by. But we find that unless we make a certain amount, then we're not worthy of a certain type of love or a certain type of respect. Oh, when I make this amount of money, then I'll be able to travel. Oh, when I make this amount of money, then I can take care of a family. Then I can become the proper husband and father children and mother children, or, then I can travel. Then I can take care of my family when I make this amount of money. Oftentimes that they're in society, men, I'm going to use this example, men will say, oh, I'm not ready to have a child. Well, why not? Because I don't make enough money yet. I need to be able in a place where I can take care of my wife and my family. And I use those terms very loosely. Just an example, people. I don't really believe that just men have that issue. But we all have that issue. I know for me, I've said to myself at one point in time, oh, I'm not going to have kids because I can't afford kids. Now, is it true that having children is an expense? Absolutely, but that's not where the validation in having children should come from. Having the validation for me would be in experiencing love in a different fashion and form, loving on someone else, giving someone life, teaching them, the ins and outs of life, teaching them how to carry on the legs. Like, that's where validation is supposed to come from. It's not supposed to come from something monetarily, valued. It just makes no sense. So another point where I realized that I was getting that I often fall victim to is gaining self-worth and self-validation from whom you're with. Boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, partner, whatever. I'm extremely guilty of this. And I don't regret it because there's a lesson to be learned. But it happened more than once for me. And I'll explain, where I'll end up with someone and, things go really, really cool and I fall in love, and next thing you know, I go from telling myself, oh girl, you look cute, to, hey, how does this look on me? Hey, you don't like this? Okay, I'm not gonna wear this. Hey, how do you like my hair? You don't like it? All right, let me do it something different. And not that, your partner's opinion doesn't matter, but your opinion should always come first, right? So how I would rephrase it is, I like this. Do you like it? No? Oh, well, I like it. I'm going to wear it anyway. I came to a point like that in one of my relationships where I remember I dressed very Afrocentric, very hipster, hippie-ish, and, very bohemian style. And the partner that I was with, she just did not like it. Whenever I would pull something out of my closet to wear, she goes, oh, please don't wear that. Oh, no. Oh God, no, baby, don't wear that. And I took on her perspective and her opinion, and I valued it more than I valued my own. So then I just started dressing. Don't get me twisted. Her picks in terms of what I should wear, very nice. When it comes to a certain style of dressing, she's very, very passionate about it, and she knows what she's doing. She, like myself, we share a love for fashion, and so there were good picks, they were good outfits, but it wasn't what I wanted to wear. And I put her opinion over that of my own. And so I started dressing how she would want me to dress. And I had to come to a point and realize, like, no, that's not right. This is not her self-worth. This is not her self-validation. This is mine that's a problem. If I want to wear this, I'm going to wear this. No, it's not about pleasing her. It's really about pleasing myself. If I'm the kind of person, if I wake up in the mood and I want to wear all black, I'm going to wear all black. If I, want to wear a bunch of colors, I'm going to wear a bunch of colors. It just depends on what I want, And that's what matters. It's very easy to say or to discount getting your self-worth from someone else and just cover it up and say, well, I'm just in love. Relationships about compromise. No, relationships are about compromise. Yes, that is very true. Yes, it takes two people to be fully and correctly in love, if you ask me. But when it comes to your self-worth and your self-validation and your self-preservation, it has to come with you. It has to start with you. It has to start and it has to end with you. Meaning that it's okay to take into consideration someone else's opinion, but ultimately, all that matters is that of your own. If you feel good when you eat certain things, if you feel good when you wear certain things, if you feel good when you do certain things and it makes you happy, that's all that really matters. Without offending someone else, of course. I mean, your intent should never be to offend anyone. It all starts with you and it should always end with you. So where we get our self-worth from and our self-validation from should of course come within us. I remember seeing recently, there was a video of a pastor that went viral on social media. I seen it on Instagram. And he said that, if we start to get our self-worth and our self-validation from the likes that we get on Instagram or the likes that we get on Facebook or the comments that we get from Snapchat or whatever have you, it's good temporarily. But then every time we need something, we go back to that. Meaning we go back to look for the likes, the comments, the retweets or whatever, we go back to that. So wherever you get your self-worth or your self-validation from means that you have to keep going back to that or to those people in order to get it, which is why it's important to start it with you, your universe, whomever you pray to. For me, it's myself, it's the God within me, it's the universe within me. That's what, and I'm okay with having to go back to me. I'm okay with having to go to God. I'm okay with having to go back to the universe. I'm okay with that, because if I were to allow myself to continue to get my validation and my worth from someone else, what happens when they leave? What happens when this person and I are no longer communicating, when we're no longer in a relationship, friend, family, foe? What happens with that? What happens when they no longer want to speak to me because I've evolved or because they've evolved or whatever the case is? What am I going to do? I'm going to be sitting there left and lost. And so that's why it's good to get it from a source that's always going to be there. Yourself, the God within you, the universe within you, the love within you. That's why it's called self-worth, self-validation. Now, I tie in God and universe. That's my personal preference, and that's what I believe about myself, which is why I'm bringing it. Again, this broadcast is to offend no one, and it's not really based on religion, but in terms of speaking of myself, God and you in the universe and centeredness, that's what I am about. And so that's what centers me, and that's where I get my self-worth from. But I think that, I know that self-worth and self-validation say self because you are always going to be there. When there's no one in the physical, when there's no one left in the physical to turn to, you can always turn to yourself. It goes back to the saying, I'm from New York, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. And I remember saying all the time, nobody got me like me. Like, when all else fell, these people could stop being my friends or this job could come and go. Don't worry, I'm going to always be all right because nobody got me like me. Nobody know how to treat me like me. Talking about people here on earth. I need to take that and refine that where I know that to be true, but not limit. Anyway, yeah, we just have to be careful on where we get our self-worth and our self-validation from, because where we get it from, it's important that we have that safe haven and we have that safe space to go back and to continually, get it and feel it and know it and be nurtured by it. So from that, I'd like to discuss now on, self-love and tools that can help aid you into loving yourself more. If you know me personally, or if you've been following this channel for quite some time, or if you've been following me on any social media, any aspect of that, you know that I have been on a self-love journey for years now, and it's only getting stronger and stronger within the life phases that I've been entering. This is some good tea. It's a mint tea. I forget who it's by, but it was gifted to me and it's so good. Back to self-love. Some tools that I use or that I find are helpful and aiding you on your self-love journey would be, number one, meditate. Take time to just sit down and feel yourself. Be one with yourself. Close your eyes or open your eyes, or just sit down, kind of try to shut your brain off for a little bit and just think of nothing and just feel the presence of just being no matter where you're at. Gift yourself with things. Don't wait for, and I've been about, this is a number one rule for me. In my course of lifetime, people have said, oh my gosh, she's spoiled because people give her this, or, whatever have you. And then I have to rebuke them and say, or rebut back like, no, I'm not spoiled, I'm blessed. I'm not, family, friends, whatever they gift me, I'm always very appreciative of it. And I have big expectations. I, say I want a lot. I say I need a lot. It is what it is. But at the same token, I like to gift myself. So my birthday just passed, and I had a lot of people coming to me saying, hey, what do you want for your birthday? And I'm like, hey, I have a list. So, and I shared the list with them, and they're all made aware of that. This list is things that I intend on getting myself. So these are things that I plan on getting myself. But if you want to go ahead and get them for me, that's very nice, and I appreciate that. But gift yourself. Don't ever wait for someone else to buy you something. If you want a TV, save up your money, make the necessary changes, and buy yourself a TV. You want to go on a vacation by yourself? Save up your money, take yourself on a vacation. That was actually one of my goals for next year. I plan on traveling outside of the country by myself. You want a massage? Get yourself a massage. Now, of course, you have a partner. You may have a husband or wife or a friend or whatever have you, someone that you're dating. And it's nice when they do things for you. It's beautiful, and I believe that you should equally be able to receive as you give. But at the same token, there's nothing like gifting yourself. Exercise. I'm currently on a mile a day challenge where I started out just doing a mile a day where I walk, jog, or cycle for a mile. It started with 1 mile, went to 2.5. Now I do a minimum of 5 miles a day. Gift yourself. Exercise. It makes me feel better. Go outside and let the sun hit you. I don't know what it is about Mother Nature and that good old vitamin D, but I could be feeling the crappiest of crappiest. I'll go outside and I'll just sit there. Sit on the stoop or sit in my car and just let Mother Nature have its way and just shine on me for 5 minutes, and I'll just feel so much better. Take yourself out on a date. Say it all the time. You was born in this world by yourself. You gonna go out by yourself. It is what it is. Like, take yourself to breakfast. Have a good lunch with yourself. When I was just in Cancun, I think on the last day that we were there, I literally went to breakfast by myself. And every day before that, I was going with the group that I was with. And it was nothing against the group that I was with, but I just needed that solidarity. Like, I needed to go to breakfast by myself and eat with myself. And it was just so nice. I took a walk on the beach by myself, and I sat there and I meditated and I talked to myself. I went and I had breakfast, and they kept asking me, dos? And I was like, no, uno, just like one table for one. And I sat there and I enjoyed the food, and I remember savoring every piece of food. That it was just lovely. Take yourself on a date. I'm telling you, it feels so, so, so good. And lastly, make a list about what you love about yourself and revisit it every single day. Put it in your phone, put it on your mirror, put it on your door, leave it at your desk, somewhere accessible. And make sure that list grows all the time. It's important. It's imperative, actually. I just saw a video, again, on social media with the actress Jennifer Lewis, and she was saying that, stand in the mirror and stand there and look at yourself until you find something that you love. She said the tears might come, you might have that self-doubt might come in, but no, you stand there and you do not leave that mirror until you find something that you love about yourself. Physically, mentally, emotionally. You do not leave that mirror until you find something that you love about yourself. And I literally remember almost crying when I seen it, because while in Mexico, I remember looking at myself, and I take a lot of pictures and, whatever, selfie here, hey. But I'm not one that looks in the mirror a lot. I just don't. I don't look in the mirror all the time. There have been days when I didn't look in the mirror not once. I just get ready, go about my business or whatever have you. And I don't look in the mirror to see every little. That's just not me. But when I was in Mexico, I remember getting ready to get in the shower. And I knew that I had put on some weight just a few days that I was out there because we've been drinking and eating. And prior to that, I wasn't drinking. I wasn't eating all kinds of crap that I had been eating out in Mexico. So I knew, and I felt a little bit heavier. And I remember looking in the mirror and I seen the extra little pounds on my stomach. And I sat there, and what would have been depressing for me, I sat there and I smiled and I smiled and I smiled and I cried happy tears because I felt so good about myself, even though I knew that I didn't appreciate the pounds, but I just felt so good about myself. It just felt so good. And I had a self-love moment. I had a validating moment. It just felt so good. And I looked in my eyes and I said, girl, you got it. It's all up to you. You got this. You are so loving. You're so beautiful inside and out. You're so worthy of everything precious and great in this world that life has to offer you. That's why you're going very far. That's why the purpose on your life and the assignment on your life is bigger than what you could ever imagine. These are the things that I said to myself out loud. Got in the shower, came out, felt good, enjoyed the rest of my trip. So that's what that's all I got for our little podcast today. Of course, wrapping up, I thank you. I appreciate you for following me, for tuning in, for, subscribing to my channel, my YouTube channel, for following me on Instagram and Snapchat, and sending me your little thank you messages and letting me know how much of an inspiration that I've been to you in certain situations, or certain quotes that I've said that reminded you of who you were and what you're worth and all that other good stuff. I appreciate so much. I take the platforms that I've been given for granted at no time. I am so appreciative. I'm so grateful. I'm so lovingly inspired by being able to talk to people who appreciate me and get lessons and learn from me just by me serving realness and by me being my realest and authentic self. So thank you so much. Of course, I always like to say, if I can offer anything else to you this evening, it would be to do your best, to live authentically and truthfully as you, because no one else is a better you than you. Head on over to www.iServeRealness.com, of course. Subscribe to the newsletter. You can follow me on all social media networks. It is at iServeRealness across the board: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube. It's iServeRealness. Also, do me a favor. This podcast is for, and it started with, and it will always be with, for Blessed Broadcast. I know the creator personally. He's awesome. He's amazing. He's my personal techie guy that I go to whenever I have issues or whenever I have a problem. Amazing. Head on over to your app store. Rate the Blessed Broadcast app. I know that he would appreciate it. Shoot, I would appreciate it, because we're always looking for ways to make ourselves better and implore us to learn new things. So do me that favor in addition to subscribing to the channel. Peace, light, love, harmony. Until next time, people, I'll be growing, glowing, and flowing. I implore you to do the same. Mwah. You didn't think I was going to let you go without asking you to subscribe again, right? So if you have not done so already, please do me a favor and subscribe to the iServeRealness channel. Like, comment, and share if you would. It would really, 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 really do me a great service. And why not allow me to serve you realness, right? So don't forget, like, comment, share, but most importantly, subscribe to the channel. There I go laughing again. Love you.